welcome to Game 3 of Minionpawn versus Personman. Minionpawn has a 2-0 lead, so Personman's back against the wall here. They're going to need to get a win here. Kind of Minionpawn's first player, probably, to stand the match. Immediately, my eyes are drawn to the decision between Amulet and Forager, or some combination thereof. And then, trying to figure out how one gets Leprechaun to work here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty clear Amulet, yeah?
Is it Amulet Forager? Is it Amulet Silver? Double Amulet? It can't be double Amulet, I don't think.
I don't hate double Amulet. I think I'm definitely skipping Forager, though. Amulet Silver is the other one that stands out to me.
Yeah, an early Den or an early Spices can do a lot for you.
Right.
And sort of the answer...
Yeah, both of them.
The problem is, I guess, if you collide, you might lose on that alone. Would be my concern as player one.
Right.
But as player two, I think it makes a lot of sense. So the way you get Leprechaun, right? You have 3 Dens of Sin coming into play and an Amulet. That's 4, right? You play a Nobles and you play 2 Nobles, and then your Leprechaun activates, or that's I guess another reason why Foragers.
At some point, you get into this problem where you have too many durations, and you're trying to find your Leprechaun in time because you have so many things coming in.
I don't think you're going to have five Dens of Sin coming in any given turn, but maybe 3. 3 doesn't seem unreasonable. I guess there's 10 total, and you can only use half of them. So if both players get 5,
so maybe not. So you'll have the Amulet and 3 Dens coming in.
Yeah, which means you do need to get a couple of Nobles. That's kind of why I like the Forager. Although I guess we can also consider Lurkers in that deck. If you have a pair of Lurkers to just kind of gain you Foragers along the way, gain you Nobles, and then the game just kind of ends quickly with the Nobles, Dens, and.
All right, so we have Amulet Forager versus Amulet. The Amulets do not collide. So Personman is taking the big risk. And
Minionpawn's Forager misses entirely, so it didn't actually matter if it went what they. Well, it could matter because they could collide turn 5, which is always really sad when you open with. So, yeah, I think I like the Lurker on 2. The deck's going to be thin enough that if your opponent doesn't get one, you can, happily trash your Nobles and then pick it up again. The Personman has, I think, this seems like just kind of a pick up silver and then trash 2 next turn and have a thin deck going into the next shuffle. With 2 Amulets, I can't imagine wanting a Forager. And if you want a Lurker, there's a decent chance you get one next turn. Minionpawn has a decision.
Their second Amulet misses.
Yeah, their third Forager missed. But they drew. Personman's second Amulet misses. So they both had a thing miss, which is worse for the. I don't know who it's worse for.
We lurkered a Amulet, betting your opponent doesn't want that. That makes sense.
Does it make? This I'm always interested in. What's the metagame there in terms of you're betting that you're going to Lurker some Amulets and 3-pile on them later, or you just feel like playing the Lurker because you want to play it to show your opponent that you had it. It seems like the play there is to not play the Lurker at all in general, unless you really are close to lowering. But it probably doesn't matter.
Oh, I was thinking the person with only 1 Amulet might be happy grabbing the second, and then their opponent isn't happy grabbing the third, so they're happy to throw an Amulet in the trash, planning to gain it.
Yeah. I can believe in the Leprechaun deck needing a Forager to, gaining silvers with Amulets, so you have something to trash with Forager, so you can get the Forager into play to be the 6th card when the Leprechaun is the 7th card. They've both got a pair of lurkers, and they're both colliding, and we're both thinning. There's 10 cards in the trash. Sorry, nine real cards in the trash, and I think you're okay buying a silver or two in this kind of kingdom. They're going for the early Leprechaun.
Yeah, that's early.
It doesn't seem like we're close to getting the Leprechaun to play unless we're buying some Guardians, which again, we're then trashing the Guardians for later on to the Forager.
Right.
Because we're not even going to be able to we're not going to come close to hitting 5 here. And Personman can't hit 5 with a den. And I'm pretty happy to have more dens than my opponent here. I think we reached the point of the game where I just want to click den most turns.
Yeah, I think so too. This is den. Next turn is likely to be den.
And maybe if you draw
lurkers and use those to get nobles, and
if you draw 2 dens, you get a spices. Maybe get a spices instead. 1 turn, and then you can double den the next turn, and then Leprechaun happens, and then the game kind of ends. Wishing for spices feels like it will end the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, the museum, nobles, these sorts of things allow for it to extend a bit if people are careful and stay pretty even.
I just assume the nobles are going to get emptied.
It's possible for one person to get the Leprechaun going, the other person doesn't, and they're just way ahead.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me to buy the Leprechaun until basically right before you're going to, knowing you're 80% to activate the next turn or something. Whereas I'm pretty sure Minionpawn is 0% to activate it this shuffle.
Yeah.
Nobles, Forager, 2 lurkers, Amulet.
I'm not sure it was bad anyway, because what else were they going to get? But
yeah, I don't know what Personman's having a good think here.
Yeah, so I take it they don't agree that it's just trash a copper, buy a den.
Yeah, I mean, you could
think about den and lurker or something.
You could take a coin here and go den Guardian. I don't know why you would do that, but you could.
And in the end, they did just trash the copper and get the den. So.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain there's just no way for Minionpawn to activate. I guess they bought a 3rd lurker. So 2 nobles, 3 lurker plays, a Forager play. I'm pretty sure Forager would have to trash a Den of Sin for that to work. They would have to draw. They could draw an Amulet too.
Yeah. So it's physically possible, but unpleasant.
Yeah, if that was what they were going for last turn, I feel like a Guardian would have been a better buy. Just because you can forage it the next shuffle, and it's a card that counts towards your total.
Yeah, I assume they're not, though, right? I assume they just think they can use another lurker.
Which I feel like we're running out of. Okay, so we're not getting there here. I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, we are, but we have. No, we are
grabbing all the nobles we can.
Yeah, so we did draw well because we okay. They could have. Oh, they were out of actions, right? Okay.
Yeah, so they could have foraged and anyway, it wouldn't have been particularly good.
Yeah, so I think we're in a spot now where.
I have an ugly draw for Personman.
Yeah, Personman can buy Den Leprechaun. Although they've only got 1 nobles, 2 dens, Amulet, 2 lurkers. I think they're in a spot where they can't activate if they buy Den Leprechaun here. Lurker Leprechaun is interesting because I think you can somewhat safely Lurker a Leprechaun here as Personman. Because Minionpawn's not going to take a second one. Unless they lurk it out just to trash it, just to play denial. It doesn't seem crazy in some...
And I guess sometimes you're looking for Forager food or whatever. You can,
yeah, and sometimes...
at some later point, get it back in there.
Sometimes you add... You know, there are cards... Like, Fortune is a card you only want one of most games. But in a thick enough deck where you're not necessarily drawing deck, but you've got, you know, fairly dense and good stuff, you just can't get all the way through it every turn. Sometimes you add, like, a second one of those big cards. And this is the Slay the Spire deck where you add the card, the Power Corruption twice kind of archetype. And, you know, it doesn't seem crazy in a deck where you're thicker to have 2 Leprechauns just to make sure you see one in time for it to be the 7th card in an engine. But I feel like that these decks should be so thin that we don't have that problem. How do you think this plays out if one player doesn't get Lurker at all? The other player just gets a free Nobles every other turn?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you definitely want the Lurkers. But obviously these sorts of draws that Personman's been getting where you get 1 Lurker will make you sad.
Yeah.
That said, Personman's in an okay position despite that. Like, you'd rather have a couple more Nobles, obviously, but...
yeah, I mean, I think I like...
the extra dents, right, really make him feel like he's not that far behind.
I think I like buying Leprechaun Den of Sin here. But maybe we're just going to buy another Den of Sin. They're just 2 turns away from activating Leprechaun still.
Well, they can use both their Lurkers to get a Leprechaun, yeah? So that gets them...
But they have no way to draw it.
Yeah, I think...
They only have 1 Nobles.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
So, I mean, yeah, they gain a go...
Absolutely need another Nobles first.
Gain a Nobles this turn. You know, buy a Leprechaun in a Den, maybe? And then they're essentially guaranteed to activate next turn. They maybe don't even need the Den anymore.
It is actually a good draw for them. They have their Nobles on top. And get both their Lurkers.
Yeah.
So they should get another Nobles, get a Leprechaun.
Maybe a Spices to go with it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
They're going to have 9... They could have 9 money here, so they could buy Nobles Leprechaun if they wanted.
And they do.
Alright, so they're going to lose the Nobles split 5-3, which is not a split that I care too much about, other than the 4 points. But they have a big lead in the dens. They've got 2 extra dens, which is a split I think I care more about. They've got the extra spices and extra silver.
Yeah, I think neither split's all that important, though. Yeah? Like, you know, it's just like you need some amount of draw, but you can get it sort of either way.
Yeah. This is a spot where I'm looking at, like, the spices pile just melting away very soon. Once you start wishing for spices and buying two spices, and all of a sudden the game is ending. The Lurker pile can also disappear in that spices scenario too, right? You wish for a spices.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. This is quite close to piling, really, because especially once you get some wishes. Nobles is gone. Lurkers goes in a second.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, they get a gold and a wish, and I guess you play this Amulet to trash this copper and play a Den. They don't actually get a buy this turn.
Right.
Which, you know, however bad that is, I'm not sure that it's terrible, but it's annoying. And maybe...
Well, it goes along with the fact that they don't have many dens, right? So their hand size just isn't that big.
Yeah, I don't... Nobles, Lurker, Leprechaun.
Easy to get off your Leprechaun here.
We're not going to draw the whole deck, but we're going to be one draw short. And, I mean, like, the Lurker pile disappears very quickly, right? The den pile is maybe the pile then that we have to concern ourselves with most importantly. It's to controlling that pile.
Especially because that's like the thing you want to get here, right? It's like you want to grab another den, but then like you got to worry about, are you gonna
I'm slightly
piles too much, but I don't think you are, right? The nice thing about den is lurkers can't empty it.
Yeah.
So like half of your opponent's gains are hard to use on it.
Yeah, we also have to watch. Minionpawn's score jumped up by 4 there when they played Leprechaun because they gained a gold and a wish. So there's a little bit of attention you have to pay to like the fact that wish is a unique card in your deck. And
okay, trash to lurker. That is interesting.
They trashed their own lurker with Amulet.
Yeah.
When you say lurker, when they trashed a lurker, I just assumed it was out of the pile.
No, it was the weird one for sure. It didn't even occur to me that was ambiguous. But
so the thing that, I mean, they technically lose museum points.
Lurker points.
There's no good cards in the You can gain a unique lurker, Leprechaun, Pillage. Maybe you could gain and play a Pillage potentially to get the spoils points and get a level of an attack in. This is not an unhappy draw for Minionpawn. I'm not sure if it's unexpected though. The bottom deck is 2 nobles. It's 2 nobles, a wish, and a leprechaun. Maybe that is a pretty unfortunate draw. Just about any of those cards, they'd be pretty happy to see.
It's normal here because again, their struggle is they don't have the den.
Right.
So
but bottom decking the wish.
Wide pairs of nobles for draw. Yeah.
Bottom decking the wish and the leprechaun, in addition to a pair of nobles, is pretty unhappy.
That's true.
So I kind of like having the lurkers in deck just so you can trash a lurker out of the pile and lower that way.
Yeah, no, I thought getting rid of the lurkers was just crazy. Like again, like that's your pile control as well. That's how you can get a quick end to the game.
Yeah. And Personman also doesn't find their leprechaun.
So you could wish for a leprechaun here to make it happen.
That probably seems worth it to me. Well, I mean, we're wishing for a leprechaun in order to get another wish. Maybe we should just wish for a den.
I mean, it's possible. It depends on if you want the gold, right?
Yeah. You have to worry. Minionpawn still has 3 lurkers in deck, or 2 lurkers in deck. So if you wish for a den, buy like a den and a province. Minionpawn, in theory, could buy a den, empty the lurkers, wish for a spices to empty the lurkers, and buy a duchy or something, and win. I think because Minionpawn doesn't have any spices, so that's a unique card. They did the first of the 3 things I said. I would be pretty afraid here to touch the den now.
Yeah, I think you need to score here, but there's lots of ways to score. Some of which are just like normal cards.
Wow.
This seems really risky to me.
Yeah. It seems quite risky.
I can wish for a den, and then all they have to do to win is empty 5 lurkers.
Which seems pretty easy.
Yeah, that's very achievable.
Okay. So we've hit a problem. We're kind of this is the hand we have. If we draw on, we can't play Leprechaun. Maybe we don't need to play Leprechaun though.
I don't think you do. I would be counting the win at this point.
So wish for a den, lurker 2 lurkers. We don't have a way to get a 3rd buy though.
Yep, we don't have it at the moment. You're absolutely right. So keep going. Yeah, I didn't realize we don't have any spices.
Yeah, so it looks like we're not, and maybe Personman counted that out at the beginning of their turn.
Right.
It was further ahead than I was willing to count as a commentator, but they're playing the match, so maybe they thought this through to the end. It seems at least if you wish for spices, if you wish for, I'm just thinking if you wish for other things, but it does seem like they're...
Okay, so they wished for a lurker. Oh, and then they can trash
2 lurkers, and they just have to buy lurker den.
lurkers, and that
Nice.
makes sense. They can buy the den at the end.
Yeah, wishing for a lurker counts as 2 gains in that line.
Yep.
Okay. So I think Personman left it. Even if they bought I think they needed to not take a 3rd den there. They needed, even with a province, they weren't safe. I don't think. Maybe they were. It was a losing tie if they took the province instead of the spices. But wow, another win for Minionpawn. We move on to game 4.